Okay, before we kick off, your 10 essentials bag. 2 of those items, notepad and a pen. I suggest you get them out, start taking notes, pay attention. Yeah, you can use your cell phone. That shouldn't be a question. Okay, so we're going to cover a bunch of material. You need to pay attention to this stuff. So every week we come in here and we recite the outdoor code and we talk about being clean in our outdoor manners, conservation-minded, blah, blah, blah. Good American. This is where the rubber meets the road. These are some practical things we're going to need to know. We're going to be in bear country, okay? Completely different. Not the Chicago Bears.
Woodbatch bears.
Okay. Next slide. I want to start off with the consequences real quick. Mr. Weaverly is going to cover this in detail at the end. Okay. This is Camp Tomahawk's grid. This isn't our thing. This is what they came up with. And it's not baseball. You can see that there's 2 strikes and you're out. It's almost a 400-mile trip up and it's 400 miles back. And if mom and dad have to come pick you up, trust me, the ride home is going to be a lot longer than the ride up. It just will be. Okay? Chris, next slide if you would. Okay, so black bears. They are the resident bears in northern Wisconsin. There's about 13,000 according to the Wisconsin DNR floating around out there. They generally avoid contact with humans. They don't want to come in contact with you. They are not looking for you to attack you, to eat you. They want to avoid you just as much as you are trying to avoid them. Okay? Black bears are nearsighted. That means that things far away are blurry. I'm nearsighted. I take my glasses off and I won't be able to see Mrs. Breeze over there. She'll just be kind of a blur with her hands in the air. Okay? All bears have a really, really keen sense of smell. That's how they go around finding food, is that sense of smell. Little anecdotal story. They had trackers on polar bears up in Alaska. And all of a sudden, they're watching these blips on the screen, these trackers, and they're all starting to converge on one single point. And they're trying to figure out what's going on with these bears. Why are they all going to this one point? So they figured out where that point is. The scientists go out there. There's a big dead whale that had rolled up on the beach. Okay? That stinks. The farthest polar bear was 80 miles away, smelled that, and started thinking, hey, that's lunch. I'm going to go eat. So they have a great, great sense of smell. Bears are nocturnal. They're mostly active during the evening. Their big activity times are at dusk and dawn, sunrise and sunset around those times of the day. Good. We call them black bears, okay? But they can be just about any color. They can be black, they can be brown, they can be cream colored, kind of cinnamon, okay? What we aren't talking about are grizzly bears, also known as brown bears. Grizzly bears are found in the western United States, Rocky Mountains, Washington State, Canada, Alaska. You get into polar bears, Kodiaks, the subspecies, okay? Those bears are not afraid of you. They will attack you. You are lunch. You are terribly delicious to them. That's a whole other ball of wax. Again, black bears, they don't want to be around you just as much as you don't want them to be around. Okay? Bear encounters at Camp Tomahawk. Yeah, I know.
The North Shore County camps?
Realistically, at the end of the day, it's exciting because you saw a bear, but that's about it. That's about what it boils down to. Conflicts between humans and bears can generally be avoided. We're going to talk about some common sense approaches tonight if you have to come across a bear. How not to get involved in an encounter that could turn funny.
We're not talking me fighting, we're talking bad fighting.
Yeah, thank you. Next slide, Chris. Okay, so bears, every other species of anything on this planet, okay, they are looking for food to survive. You guys all have heard the rule of free lunch. There's no such thing as a free lunch, right? There just isn't. Bears or any other type of animal, they're going around in search of food. They want to expend as few calories as possible trying to get their next meal. Okay? So you don't want to be the person that's giving the bear a free lunch. You don't want to attract him with your smellables, with whatever. Okay? A habituated bear has lost its natural fear of humans. Sometimes these black bears, they come encounter with humans, with food. They will wander into a town and they'll spot a dumpster behind a restaurant. That's a good place for free food. He wants that free lunch, right? So he's going to keep coming back to that dumpster because he's learned that's food for me. Okay? The problem is, what your DNRs usually end up having to do is they trap that bear, tag it, they move it somewhere very, very far, remote away from people. Eventually what happens is they make their way back into a town, they find a dumpster, they're habituated, they've learned people equal food. And we become a cheap, easy source for them to survive and feed. The problem is a fed bear ends up being a dead bear. Once he gets habituated to people, he's no longer afraid of us. They will challenge you, they will attack, because they know you're a source of easy food. Okay, that dumpster, that trash can, whatnot. So that's why we need to be careful that we aren't enticing the bears into camp and teaching them that, hey, you can get cheap food here. You can get an easy lunch. Chris? A scout is clean. His campsite should be too, right? I mean, it just makes sense. We've got to be careful what we're doing with food. Like we keep saying, food scents are a bear magnet. Okay? All food at camp has to be stored in the steel campsite bear box, the trunk of a car, the troop trailer, or an appropriate bear bag. There are no exceptions to that rule. That's not Troop 73, that's Camp Tomahawk. That's where food has to be stored. Okay? Food is never, ever, 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 never, ever, ever stored in a tent. Ever. Don't do it. Okay? Snacks are food. Your drinks are food. Enjoy them, but not in a tent. Yes, sir?
What if you have food in camp during the day, and you take it into your tent, you spill some drink and leave some crumbs, but you don't have the food, but you have remnants left behind?
That actually can never happen. You can have food in camp, you just can't take it into your tent. Because you're not taking it into your tent, there won't be any spills, there won't be any crumbs.
If you do take it in your tent, then your parents are going to have to come and get you. Drive 800 miles round trip to come get you. So 400 miles each way.
I'd say I don't bring food in my tent, but I keep it in my tote outside my tent.
No. Where does food go?
Right there. Bear box.
It goes in the bear box.
Unless you're eating it.
And we've got a practical way of handling that we'll talk about in a few minutes. Ma'am?
Does that include bubble gum?
Yes.
Definitely. Definitely. Anything edible. Yes? There's no
odorless food.
What's your thought there?
There is no such thing.
The chicken packet or the beef packet? Which of the packets doesn't smell? Chicken doesn't smell.
No, it's like not good.
Yes, water is okay.
Not flavored water.
Water can only be brought in your tent if there's in a bottle that's never been used for anything but pure water.
There are two types of water bottles. There are the soft plastic sided kind and the Nalgene hard plastic side. If you have a softer water bottle, you can never get the drink mix smell out of that bottle. If you have the hard Nalgene bottles and have put them through a dishwasher, they are no longer smellable, but it's still not advisable. If you used a drink packet inside your water bottle, it is not a good idea to ever have that in your tent in bear country.
Mr. Price?
What if we don't know?
Then you ever decide to caution.
Ask somebody.
Don't use that water bottle.
Choose
If you
like,
can- If you can squeeze it all and make any kind of crumbling of the container, it'll soften up the attractive. Nalgene bottles are hard, you cannot crush them, you cannot jam them, you can't squeeze. That's good.
They talk about cooking of food. I don't know that we're going to be doing any cooking in the campsite. If we do, we've got to wash the tables down. We've got to clean up our spills.
We will be on Wednesday.
Camp Tomahawk's cooks take the day off on Wednesday. So
Okay.
there's one day where we'll have to cook food.
Okay. So in that case, immediately following the meal, we've got to wash down the tables. We've got to do our dishes. Any leftovers, any of that sort of thing has to be secured right away. You just don't leave stuff sitting on a table for a half hour. No, don't do that. Okay? Yep, like it says here, we're gonna wash the tables. Food spilled on the ground has to be picked up. Any liquid spills have to be cleaned up by removing the contaminated soil. So if you've spilled drink mix all over the ground, we've got to scoop that soil up and dispose of it in the appropriate place. We'll find out where that is when we get there. Okay? Garbage has odors that attract bears. We've covered that a little bit. Garbage has to be disposed of at approved sites. Garbage can leak. I think all of us have had the wonderful experience of pulling that garbage bag out of a trash can and just watching that stuff run down our leg. Okay, now you have contaminated clothing that needs to be cleaned. You've got contaminated soil that needs to be disposed of. Those things have to be taken care of. Okay? Chris? Other smellables include your toothpaste, mouthwash, deodorant, soap, shampoos, any of those personal hygiene products that you use in the morning, hopefully. Band-aids, duct tape, batteries, okay? Lip balm, sunscreen, insect repellent. We don't store those in our tent. Do not. Yes, sir?
What about things that you keep in your day packs, right?
Yes. Okay. Chris, if you hit the next slide. Okay. They're going to have a large metal bear box at the campsite. We've got one of these bins for each of you guys. Okay. If you have a tendency to overpack it, like my son does, get a couple rubber bands for yours to wrap around. Okay. As parents, what we're asking you to do is to get a couple 3 Ziploc bags. Okay. One for their shower kit, toothpaste, deodorant, that sort of thing. In the morning, they go up, they get this out of the bear box, truck off to the shower, get cleaned up. This goes back in the bin. Okay? Before you guys truck off to classes and whatnot, you'll go over, grab your first aid kits, your drink mixes, your snacks, stick those in your day pack, carry those around. When you come back to the campsite in the afternoon, those bags go back in here, they go back in the bear box. Okay? They don't go into your tent. Okay? Yes, ma'am?
Should we leave drink mixes at home?
There's no need to leave them at home. You can bring them. But they have to be put in the bear box.
Yeah. Sir?
Talk about batteries. We're all gonna have flashlights? Yes, no?
That's one of the things I'm kind of struggling with. I'm not sure how that's going to work out.
You can see, if you got a flashlight, that's fine. It's just if you've got like a package of batteries,
Okay.
like just chilling, that needs to go in there.
Okay.
Disposable cameras also need to go in the bear box, if anybody uses
Yes, sir.
those.
If the other one is a snowball that attracts bears, should you really be using it?
Yes, you should. Yes, you should, because I would appreciate it. The idea there is that that scent is going to wear off of you throughout the day. As the day goes on.
When you take a shower before you go to bed at night, you might not have that deodorant on there, put it on in the morning.
Actually, what they recommend is showering in the morning to mid-afternoon, no later than mid-afternoon, because those scents will carry through with you into the evening. So what we want is we want you to clean up in the morning. That way, by bedtime, you're starting to smell more like armpit, and a bear doesn't want to come around your tent. Okay?
so stinky scout's a safe scout. Stinky scout's a safe scout.
Somewhat. Regular digital cameras should be fine. It's just like he said, the package of batteries. You don't want to have a, 48 cell mega pack in it. Okay.
Film cameras, but you guys have no idea what film is, so that's.
Okay, if we could jump to the next slide. But actually, what I should back up, because of the vast number of boys that we have going, we're asking the parents to help them pack those Ziploc bags before we get to camp. While your son is packing his bin, be there, help him put those smellables in the 3 Ziploc bags. Put those on top of his stuff in the bin. That way when we get to camp and we distribute those bins to the individual boys, the shoe boxes, they can just put that stuff right in there. Because with 34 boys, we just are not going to have the time to go through everybody's stuff and handhold and help them get all their smellables. So we're asking them.
In advance, so we can just do it at home.
We're going to hand out the shoe boxes when we get to camp.
Okay.
But if they put the Ziploc bags on top of their bin that they're bringing, their big tote, they put those on top, that'll help us out. So that way they just pop the lid off, we hand them the box, they put their Ziplocs in there and turn them over to the wear wraps. So every night before bed, you're going to want to wash your face and your hands. Sir?
Quick question. What if I have more stuff than will fit in my tote? Like if I get it all together and I've got too much, what then?
Bring a bigger tote.
It's a good question. How big are the metal containers there? Because I've not seen them, so.
We should have enough for one tote for every person.
Okay.
That's it.
6 feet tall, 3 feet
Pack
wide.
lighter.
So
Okay, so I assume the point you're trying to make at this point is.
is
if
make
it doesn't
sure it'll
the
fit in the
shoebox-
tub. Make sure all your stuff will fit in the tub. If you have too much, if you have more than will fit in the tub, you got too much stuff, find a way to consolidate.
Follow the TSA rules, 3 ounces.
There you go.
The only need a 40 ounce can or a bottle of shampoo.
I do.
So, if you spill food on your clothing, don't take that piece of clothing into your tent, okay? I know sometimes we have a tendency to, I gotta wipe this bacon grease off somewhere. You do not want to do that on your shirt, okay? You're becoming bear bait at that point. If your clothes get any kind of smellable bacon grease, food, whatever, you gotta get them washed, okay? They can't go in the tent. Either that or we have to store them in a bear bag. I know for myself, I like to hang my shirt at night. I'm gonna have to figure out something to keep it away from my tent, so that way if I've got something on there, it's drawn away from the tent. Next slide, please. My favorite line in this whole presentation, showers should be taken while at camp. Yes, they really should.
You're holding the week outside, so we'll.
Yep. So, like we said earlier, it's suggested you shower in the morning or no later than mid-afternoon if possible. Remember, the bears are nocturnal, so they're going to be coming around mostly at night. You don't want to smell like deodorant at night. You kind of want to smell more like armpit, right? What's that?
10 days will love them.
Yes, they will. So fish cleaning, don't do fish cleaning at the campsites. Do it at the designated areas, okay? Even if we're following all the precautions, a bear may still enter our campsite. If he doesn't find food, he's probably going to truck along because that's what he's looking for, okay? Oh, thought I heard something. So they can wander in at any time. They're nocturnal. They're most active at dawn and dusk, like we said before. In a typical year, they enter campsites 4 to 5 times. You know, they're out in the forest. They're looking for berries, roots, other cheap, easy foods, okay? In good years, they're happy to stay out in the forest away from humans. in years of drought, when there aren't that many berries, when the roots just aren't there, when their natural foods aren't there, they're going to start venturing towards humans, towards us, because they know there's some food over there. They spread their territory out. Yes, sir?
You said that they're active, or they're usually seen 4 or 5 times a year on a campsite. Does that mean per bear, each bear 4 or 5 times?
No, there's usually 4 or 5 sightings a year. So in 50 years at Camp Tomahawk, they've only had 1 incident with an injury. Okay? That's a pretty good track record. We always want to think safety first. Okay? Don't endanger yourself to try and grab your security blanket or whatever it is. Okay? If a bear's got it, let the bear have it. We can replace stuff, we can't replace you. Okay? So if a bear enters our camp, what are we going to do? We're going to listen to one of the adults that takes charge. Okay? One of my pet peeves is when I see you guys form up, a lot of times you guys are trying to be the boss of each other. This is not the time to do that, okay? This is the time to pay attention to what the grown-ups are telling you, what the adults are telling you, okay? Everyone in the camp is going to want to gather opposite of where the bear is at, okay? So if the bear is over by Mrs. Breeze, well, we're all going to come over here, okay? We're going to stay together. The video that Mr. Weaverling showed a few minutes ago, when you guys were on the beach at the camp out this weekend, he had you all in a big group before you jumped in the water, right? Right? That's the kind of group, that's the kind of gathering you want to be in, okay? Bears are nearsighted, so you're going to look fuzzy. He's got this big fuzzy group of people waving their hands and talking at the bear, okay? It's going to scare the bear off. Typically that kind of thing they don't want to mess with that. They want to get away from that. Okay? You want to stay at least 40 feet away from the bear? Well, is 42 feet safe? I don't know. I'm going to get as far from the bear as I can. Okay? I'm not wanting to figure out what the exact proper distance for bear safety is. Okay? It's as far as I can.
When I go to boundary wars all the time with Ryan, the reason why I go with Ryan is because that bear, if they're going to attack the slowest person. I know I'm fast.
I'm pretty good at throwing rocks, Mr. Bly.
They do.
There's lots of rocks up there. And walls.
And there's a bear right behind you. They can see Ryan.
Dylan? What do you got?
Going to the summer camp. Would we be able to bring stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh cards or?
Yes. I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh cards are smellable.
Unless you spilled Kool-Aid on them.
Yes, unless you spill Kool-Aid on them or something like that. Mr. Peel?
What if you get like a bloody nose or something and you have blood stains all over your shirt? Is that going to be considered smellable?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You smell like a steak.
What's that? Oh, they'll have trash cans. Yeah, just, you need to make sure you're putting your trash in trash cans in those designated areas. Yeah. So if we've got a bear in camp, what we're going to do is we're going to either post pairs of adults at the entrances, okay? Because we don't want other people walking into camp while we've got a bear, right? So be prepared for that eventuality. Maybe we'll post soldier scouts, just depends on the situation and who's around. Again, follow directions of the adult leader in charge. It's good to make noise, to yell, to scream. Okay? Wave your arms in the air. It's easier to scare a bear off before it has found food. If it does come into the campsite and it finds food, good luck trying to scare it off. It's not leaving until it finishes dinner. Just That's how that goes. Okay? Never, ever, never, 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 never throw things at a bear. You will only make the bear angry. The other thing you never do is you never charge the bear. Okay? You don't go running up and try to scare the bear. Because he's going to run right back at you. Okay? There are pepper sprays and bear repellents. Don't try to use those. I've got a good little bit of a whiff once, and the next 20 minutes were miserable. Okay? Odds are, if you're spraying that stuff, you're going to spray me instead of the bear. It's going to blow all over people. It will just be a disaster. So leave it at home.
That's good on it.
If a bear has been successful in finding food in your campsite, we got to clean the campsite. Okay? What brought the bear to camp? What caused him to stay? And we got to fix that problem. The other issue becomes bears are creatures of habit. Once they find food at a campsite, they will come back almost every day for weeks until they don't find food there anymore, until they realize, oh, it was just a one-time chance deal. Okay? That may not be a problem for us because we're only going to be there for a week, but if we're the losers that leave a bunch of food slopped around and we bring a bear into camp, that bear is going to be causing problems for the rest of the summer for everybody else that comes to that campsite. And that's not really being considerate of others in the outdoors, right? So if we try to scare this bear off and it doesn't work, we're going to leave camp for about 30 minutes. We're going to leave our folks posted at the entrance so people don't go into camp, and they want us to get a hold of a camp staff member immediately. I can almost guarantee you that they're going to come and they're going to ask, what did you guys do wrong? Where did you guys screw up? Where's the food? Okay? This photo actually comes from their website. This is what our tents will look like on the platforms there. There are limited reports of bears sticking their heads into the tents. Okay? No actual report of a bear entirely entering the tent. If a bear sticks his head in your tent, I don't have to presume you're innocent until I prove you guilty. I'm just going to assume you've done something. You've screwed up. There's food. There's a smellable. You had something in that tent. Because that bear just isn't going to go in there and stick his head in there for no reason. He's looking for something. Okay? If a bear is wandering around your tent at night or he sticks his head in there, first of all, remain calm. I know it's easier said than done, but you don't want to jump up, you don't want to scream, you don't want to freak the bear out. Even though you feel like you're freaking out inside, I know. Okay? What you do want to do is you want to begin speaking in a loud, calm voice. Okay? First thing I would do is tip off my tent mates. Hey, wake up, there's a bear in here. I mean, you guys can all figure out what a train wreck it's going to be. You're being cool, you're being calm, you're being quiet, and all of a sudden your tent mate wakes up and screams like Mrs. Breeze. Okay? It's going to screw it up for everybody. Don't attempt to hit the bear. Don't throw things at the bear. Next slide. You want to stay in your sleeping bag in a loud, calm voice. Start calling out to the adults. Don't forget to say, hey, this is Steven. Okay? Don't forget to say, hey, this is Timmy Tent Peg over here. Okay? I've got a bear in my tent. You want to get the attention of the adults, okay? But you also have to remember, if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, we're going to be a little sleepy, and trying to figure out who's who and where you're at in the middle of the night can be a little funky. So help us out, okay?
Make sure you yell Mr. Weaverling. Because you're not going to know who has my name.
Remember, the bears want to avoid you just as much as we want to avoid them. The most dangerous encounters are the surprise encounters. When you sneak up on the bear, you didn't know he was there, he didn't know you were going to be there, and everybody freaks out. Okay? That's when things go bad. When you guys are out hiking on the trails, when you're out, use the buddy system. You're supposed to be doing it anyway. This is one of the reasons why. You got your buddy, there's two of you together, you look larger than just one of you. Okay, remember the bear's nearsighted. He can't figure out if you're two people or one large person or what's going on. When you're hiking, I know you'll make noise, that won't be a problem. Most of the time, bears are going to hear you coming and they're going to wander off. They're going to get out of your way. Okay? If you do come across a bear, don't do a bunch of sudden movements. Stay calm. If he hasn't spotted you, just make a detour. Get out of there, find an alternate path. Okay? Chris, if you would. How do you know if the bear, if you're near the bear's personal space, if he spotted you? You know, if he's going around sniffing the ground, looking for berries or whatever, and then all of a sudden he perks up and starts looking around, starts sniffing, that's your clue. He's probably detected you're nearby. Okay, remember, they're great with sniffing, they're terrible with eyesight. Another thing they'll do when they're curious is they'll stand up on their back legs and start looking around, start sniffing around, trying to figure out where things are coming from. That's not an attack thing, that's just a, hey, I'm trying to get a better look thing. Okay? So stay out of their personal space zone. You want to talk in a normal voice, wave your hands, make your presence known to the bear.
But you said, you say here, wave your arms, but yet the other time, you were saying no sudden movements. Waving is sudden movements.
It's proximity, Chris. The closer you are to the bear, the less you want to startle him. You want him to know that, yes, I am here, I'm a human, don't mess with me, I won't mess with you. But if you're right next to one another and all of a sudden you both surprise each other, get out of it. Don't panic, don't yell, but get out of it. Don't climb a tree. That is bear identification 101. If you climb a tree and the bear climbs up after you, it's a black bear. If you climb up a tree and the bear knocks the tree down to eat you, it's a grizzly.
And they're all pretty obviously.
Like the whole way off the bear or stuff. You know, that was stand up. It does see that you have like permission to have one person on top the other and lift the other person so you look like a really, really, really tall person.
I probably wouldn't do that. Okay, Mr. Weaverly just touched on a moment ago here. You don't want to turn and run from a black bear. They can do 30, 40 miles an hour. They are fast little boogers. Okay? You are not ever going to be able to outrun them. They are expert tree climbers, so going up a tree isn't going to help you either.
Swim.
If you run from the bear, there's a good chance that he's going to chase you. It's going to trigger that predatory instinct, and he's going to think you're food because you're running from him. Yes, sir.
What do you do if you got a surprise bear and the bear just stops, looks at you, like you're like, I don't know, within 5 feet, curious? Like, what do you do? Like, do you know I'm supposed to run away, try to like dash away, like walk?
If you're 5 feet away,
We're not 5 feet away, like, I don't know, what's the 5 feet away?
yeah, I mean, if you're this proximity,
Yeah.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with backing away. You just don't want to turn and run. Yeah.
No, that's not a good idea.
That's not what you want to do. That's not what you want to do. Okay. Another point, you don't want to throw things at the bear. You're just going to take the bear off. Don't throw food at it. It's not going to distract him. Okay? As far as bear cubs go, don't ever chase the bear cubs. Don't chase them up a tree. Don't harass bear cubs. If you see bear cubs, leave them alone. Because just like at your house, if mom isn't happy, mama bear isn't happy, you're teasing her cubs, it's going to be a bad day for you, okay?
We all know how you guys do.
It'll be about the last one.
What?
I want a pet bear.
What is this? Sprite?
I want a pet bear.
I doubt it. Depends on how far away it is. please. Okay, guys. So they started keeping records in 1900. Since then, there have only been 23 deaths in North America, the U.S. and Canada. Okay? That's really, really low. That's really low. From 1960 to 1980, there were more than 500 bear injuries. Bear injuries are pretty minor. They're claw scrapes, they're little bites. Basically, think like a dog bite type thing. Scenario. Okay, so this is contrasted with grizzly bears. When a grizzly bear attacks a person, it's almost always major. It's not good.
Hope the wind doesn't shift.
There's a video on YouTube that I watched. It's really interesting. It's a black bear, and he does what's called a bluff charge. Okay? This woman's standing there with her video camera out in the front yard. The bear's walking around, and he's eating chestnuts out of her front yard off the lawn. And he sees her, he turns, and he takes a couple quick steps and kind of does like a little dog bark thing at it. But he stops a couple feet away. And then he turns and walks off. Okay? When you're in their personal space, there's a good chance they're going to do that to you. It's a bluff charge. You stand your ground. Don't turn and run if he does it, because you're going to trigger that predatory instinct. He's going to chase you. I know, I wet my pants too, but we'll deal with that issue later, okay?
Then are you a smellable? Do you become a smellable at that point?
Yes, you are smellable at that point. You are very not smellable. Again, stand your ground. Don't run. Don't climb trees. If there are other people there, you're going to huddle together, okay? You're going to make noise. If you've got a grown-up around, listen to what's going on. Listen to some instructions, okay? The predatory bear, black bear scenario is very, very rare. It's usually a bear that's never come in contact with humans before. Usually occurs during the daytime. They start circling their target. If the bear is doing that, he's thinking you are food, okay? This is going to be a not good situation. He's going to rush you, and he's going to try to attack you. If you get attacked by a bear, all bets are off, okay? The thing I said earlier about don't throw things at the bear, if he's actually making physical contact with you, punch him, kick him, hit him with sticks, throw rocks at him, do whatever you need to get him away, okay? Yes, sir.
Use your knife.
Guys, seriously, I'm as deaf as a doorpost. I can't hear him. What?
Okay. So, literally, instead of like bluff charge or anything, if you're just standing there and then for absolutely no reason he actually does charge you, are you like
Attack
you?
Attack, not
Yeah,
charge.
charge you and then attack. For literally absolutely no reason. Are you allowed to use it?
You're going to do whatever
Do everything you can to survive.
If he has made physical contact with you, he's slapped you with his paw, or he's biting at you, yeah, then you're fighting, okay? He's fighting you. I don't know if you're fighting him back yet, but you better start. Do you understand what I'm saying? If he's made physical contact,
But Sam, from what I've read tonight and what we've heard tonight, that's not going to happen because a black bear is not going to attack you for absolutely no reason.
If it does, can I say
It's not going to happen.
It's only been 20 deaths from a black bear in over 100 years.
Mr. Pedersen,
Yeah.
you spent how many years at the camp?
6 years. I've spent 9 weeks total up at that camp.
Guys, listen. If I can't hear him, you're not paying attention. What? I'm sorry.
I've spent 9 weeks total at Tomahawk throughout
Okay.
my life.
Bear encounters?
Yes, I have seen bears twice.
Okay.
And both times it was because somebody did something stupid, like not put away a cooler before, and they were up, the adults were up at 10 o'clock and the coolers were still out. We ended up with bears in our campsite.
Okay.
The other time, someone forgot to take the trash to the dumpster that night, and a mom and her cubs walked into the campsite.
Okay.
So,
If I can, you'll notice on those consequences, on the infractions and consequences grid. One of them is disposing of trash, and that right there is why. The trash is smellable, it's gonna come into camp. How was your service project? Was that enjoyable?
No, it was not at all.
I'm sure
So,
they find
and
some
even though it was the way my troop was organized, it was the adults' fault, the whole troop had to participate. It was not fun.
Yeah, we're all in this together, so if you screw up and I have to clean junk, I'm not gonna be happy. Are you gonna be happy, Mr. Blakis?
I'll just sleep.
Yeah, more about your coffee.
Maybe if you're the cause of an entire day's worth of work, you're not going to be well liked in camp.
That's correct.
So that's saying this stuff is serious, pay attention, and it sounds like he's almost finished, so.
But again, with Camp Tomahawk and your years of experience in the North Star Council,
Yeah.
bear injuries, bear attacks,
No, that one injury,
yeah,
the story behind it is the boy had candy wrappers in his pockets, in his sleeping bag, in the tent. And there was a lot of candy wrappers. So that's about as dumb as you can get. So is keep the stuff out of your pockets, throw it out, be smart.
Ryan Gomer, that means no ramen in your tent.
Earlier, you don't put stuff in your tent, and if a bear comes around your tent, I'm going to wonder what you're doing wrong, because odds are you've done something. Okay? This is very common sense. These are very simple steps you can take to keep yourself and all of us safe. Okay? Again, we covered this already. If you're attacked, fight back with everything you've got. Okay? Again, Mr. Patterson's put some reality into the whole, oh, a bear's going to eat me alive scenario. It just doesn't happen. Okay? It just doesn't. So don't be freaked out. Don't worry. You may see a bear. If you do, cool. You know, don't do anything to provoke it. Follow the safety rules. Follow the guidelines. You're adults in charge. Things will turn out well. Okay? Mr. Zach.
This is just like flash was like you startled the bear.
Yes, I wouldn't flash the tire to see the bear. Mr. Hunter?
Could we have non-flash photography?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Bear?
Oh,
As you're backstepping,
What?
click.
Yeah.
You're getting out of
Guy, a bear encounter is not a photo session.
you want to stand your ground.
Stop, back away.
He's not going to walk towards you. He wants to avoid you as much as you avoid him. So he's going to give you some leeway, some room. Okay?
2 to 3 feet from you, the hammer stop charging. You need to react if it's not a blood anymore.
Yeah. Dylan?
Why do you think Mickey happened to make friends with the bear?
I'm not going to get close enough to a bear to make
Friends with the bear.
I'm going to be friends with all of you guys?
Make sure he has.
Mr. Teal, did you have a question? Oh, okay. Mr. Weaverly?
I was just petting the bear, being his friend.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about the fun ride home or...
So, there was a question that Zach brought up. What happens if somebody has baited you? Somebody has planted something in your tent. I will be clear with this. This will be the only time I will mention this. If you're caught doing any such thing, your parents will be coming to get you from camp. That goes for everybody in the troop. There is no messing around with the bear policy at this camp. Because if the troop gets sent home because you screwed up, that's going to be a big problem. There will be a zero tolerance policy for this, guys.
Assuming you don't get also charged with a crime.
Yes, sir.
The first violation, the first page, the first rule.
Yep.
Don't do it.
And that's if the camp finds out.
There is no second consequence on that. You see that?
Don't let me find out.
And as Mr. Gauber pointed out, being charged with a crime, it is a crime in the state of Wisconsin to bait bears.
Can you tell them what baiting is?
Baiting would be intentionally leaving out fish guts to try and draw a bear to a location. Okay? Dumping bear grease somewhere to try and doing something with a smellable to attract a bear. Okay? And if you're doing that to draw a bear into the campsite, I'm not going to be happy with it. Yes, sir. Discipline will be at the discretion of the reservation director. Yes, ma'am.
The latrine, is there anything, any rules that you have to follow in the latrine? I mean, is there soap in there? Is there, I mean, what's the, do we know?
Nope, we don't know. We'll find out.
See, what do you remember about the tree?
What I remember is that there was a hand station that had a pump that you could get, that we would put soap on as a troop, and then we'd wash our hands. It was like not by the latrine, but if anything is found down the latrine, candy wrappers, anything, they will make you fish it out, and that's not fun. That sucks. Not a good use of a fishing pole.
I'm assuming at the end of each day, trash in the can has to be taken out of the trash can to a designated area.
Yep. Every
Okay.
night we'll want to take out trash.
So our senior patrol leaders, you guys are going to want to make sure that trash is picked up, because if it's not, there's going to be a service project involved.
Duty roster?
Good. Oh, yes, sir.
What sort of things do we, make sure we put in those, besides sunscreen?
Would you do me a favor? Would you open up your book? Because you brought your scout book, right? Everybody brought their scout book? I would like to see you open up page 308. Now, if you have an older scout book, because you're an old trusty scout, it's not going to be on that page. 308. Lower left-hand side. What does it say? Lower left-hand side, Mr. Price.
Belt it out really loud. Let me hear you.
Smellable.
You're like scout?
All meat ingredients, leftover food. Garbage, soap, shampoo, deodorant, lotions, toothbrushes, and toothpaste, sunscreen, lip balm, insect repellent, first aid kits, and anything else with an odor that might attract you.
Worth noting, anything that has a glue on the backside, duct tape, masking tape, any kind of tape, that is a smellable. Band-aid.
What do you use passing handkerchief or something like that for your
That's pushing. I don't know the answer to that.
What was the question?
If you've been wearing your scout shirt and cleaning your scout shirt, it's a smellable anyway, so. Done.
It's people sent from the sweat, so,
Unless there's deodorant.
yeah.
I don't know, that's a borderline. At Philmont, that would be a smellable you would think.
What about fire starting kits?
What's in the fire starting kit?
Could be cotton balls with Vaseline.
Absolutely.
Dryer lids.
Absolutely.
Ooh, dryer lid's a fun one. I'm sure those dryer sheets are just bare sheets. Yeah. Yes, sir. So if you're wearing a Band-Aid, well,
You'll be okay.
you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
It's let's just say, for example, the volume of batteries together. But was that you that asked that? Okay. If you have a volume of batteries together that has a stronger smell than one battery, we identified that, right? So if you have one Band-Aid on you, that's better than having 50 in a first aid kit. Okay.
Dylan?
Has there ever been a scout who has made friends with a bear?
No, within the poop.
I'm not going to make friends with the bear.
It's not his friends. All he does
Mrs. Campbell, yes. Charades, what?
Are we still recording?
Are we still recording?
Are we still recording?
I don't know.
Yeah, are we?
Are we still recording?
Yeah, it's recording.
Peace.
Yeah, peace.
Do you want it turned off?
Are we done?
I think we're done if we're not gonna.
Yeah, I think we're done.